morning sports show, and I'm joined today by a man who is from Sandwich, currently living in Salmonock, and has been a well-traveled man in baseball at both the minor league and the collegiate level as an umpire, Mr. Bobby Tassone. Bobby, welcome to the sports show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We're glad to have you on here, that's for sure. And Bobby, before we get started, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and your career as an umpire, if you could, please?
Yeah, so I grew up in Sandwich, and I started umpiring when I was 12 years old. I actually lived right behind Memorial Park, right there in Sandwich. So I started when I was 12 years old, working 8-year-old games. And kind of fell in love with it from there. I mean, obviously being a young child, I should say, I was making $30 an hour and felt like I had a ton of money. And, you know, as I progressed through the certain levels, obviously the pay increases, and I stayed with it, and I'm still doing it now 23 years later.
Well, that sounds great. Glad to hear that you have been, again, well-traveled, lots of experience there in that. And what was it about umpiring that made you want to consider becoming a baseball umpire?
I mean, I grew up playing baseball, so I mean, it's hard not to. And like I said, growing up right there with all those ball fields in my backyard, it was kind of a no-brainer staying around the game that way.
Yeah, absolutely. A good way to stick around it there for sure. Well, if you could, Bobby, tell our listeners about the umpire school that you attended and how long was the program and what impressed you most about the skills and knowledge needed to become a professional umpire.
Yeah, so I attended Harry Wendelstedt's umpire school in 2017. It's down in Daytona Beach, Florida. Going down there, that's about a 5-week training course. You're there on site. You stay in a hotel the entire time. The biggest thing that really impressed it for me personally was just learning all the whys of baseball umpiring. Why do we stand here? Why do we move there? Why do we do this? Why do we say that? At that point in my career, I kind of had a good idea how to navigate a baseball field, but filling in the why we do everything is what really helped me improve in my craft.
Yeah, I can totally understand that. You know, as fans, we observe how umpires are, but sometimes that why is sometimes that most eye-opening thing, and I'm sure you experienced that firsthand too.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're about what age when you started at the umpire school?
I was 26 years old when I got hired into minor league baseball.
And then did the umpire schooling place its candidates in leagues, or did you have to seek out and apply to become an umpire in a league?
That's right. So if you attend the school and you're ranked out high enough, by the end of the training course, you get to go to another week, so it's actually another full week where you would have met up with the other umpire school that's in Florida, in Vero Beach, Florida, and then their candidates and Harry Wendelstedt candidates met up, and throughout that 1 week you would have all the minor league supervisors there, and they would basically handpick people to become umpires in the minor leagues. It varies year to year. The year I went, there was, I think, 26 jobs available. But the year prior to that, there was 46. So, I mean, it varies how many jobs are available in a given year.
Very, very fascinating there. Definitely to see that fluctuation in availability year to year there, too. It all very interesting. And then at Harry Wendelstedt University, was there a graduation ceremony of sorts when you finished umpire school, or kind of what were the steps you took upon finishing there?
Yeah, they have a full-on banquet at the end of camp, and there you basically are just enjoying the last day or so with new friends that you met down there, and then the following day is where they give you your evaluation and tell you if you're going down to Vero Beach to the evaluation course.
Oh, very, very cool there for sure. And your first season as a pro umpire out of Harry Wendelstedt University, what do you remember about that first season, perhaps maybe in learning the routine and kind of coming to know the life of being an umpire and part of that of a crew?
Yeah, so my first year was in the Arizona Rookie League, the Complex League down there. So this is the beginner league. There's one in Florida as well. The biggest thing for me was just like, wow, this game speed's a lot faster than high school. So it didn't take long didn't take long to adjust to it, but that was probably the most eye-opening thing. And then, in comparison to working high school ball, you work with a different partner every single game. Or in minor league baseball, you work with the same person for the entire season, so you get to know them really well, their tendencies, and coexisting with them on the road for 6 months almost.
Well, very, very cool there. Thank you for sharing your insight there on kind of that differences between one step from another and how you kind of transitioned with that. And then at the end of your first season as an umpire, do you recall your thoughts about the profession at that point, perhaps the plus or minuses before considering a second season?
I mean, I fell in love with it. I mean, for the average fan, you would think, holy cow, this is crazy. And in that first year, you're like, wow, like Mark McGuire's walking around my field right now when he was with the Padres organization as a coach. And like those little moments, and you're just like, holy cow, this is real. Like this is that level of baseball. So I got hooked. You're seeing the next generation of MLB players coming up, meeting them, knowing them. So it's hard not to want to come back for a second season. But that ultimately still, it's performance-based, so you could have a really bad season and they will not renew your contract.
Well, interesting. It's like you guys are evaluated just like those players out there too.
We are. So in your first year, you would get evaluated for 4 games, 2 games working the play, 2 in the field, and out of those like 80-something games, those 4 games essentially dictated what your future was going to be. So you had to be on it those nights. I mean, you have to be on it every night, but those 4 nights were much more important than others in comparison.
Yes, totally understand that for sure. And were you destined to move up from A ball to double A ball around that time, or how does that work? Kind of getting promoted up from one class to the next one.
Typically, you spend 3 to 4 years in A ball, rookie ball, low A, high A. So it's 3 to 4 years. From there, you move up to double A. The reason why they spend so much time there is because when you're working a 2-umpire system, you have to really be good at that, because when you transition up to a 3-man system, whenever something happens, it checks back down into the 2-umpire system. So each system, 2, 3, 4, and even 6, they all build on each other. So there's kind of a method to their madness in regards to how many years you spend at each level.
Okay, very interesting. And did you have a favorite umpiring position? Did you like being behind the plate, or were you a guy that preferred kind of being an umpire out there more on the field?
Yeah, I've always enjoyed working home plate, simply because of the fact that you're in constant action. There's no falling asleep back there, because you got a pitch coming at your face every 30, 40 seconds. When you're working in the field, it's a little bit slower, and that's actually where you need more focus. So, yeah, I definitely enjoyed being behind the home plate more so.
Yeah, interesting. And I think if I was an umpire, I would agree with you on that exactly for those same reasons. You're always in action there, and again, like you said, it's just good to be back there. It sounds like a lot of fun. Well, I wanted to ask you, since you talked about calling home plate, what are your thoughts about the new automated balls and strike system, or ABS, that we have seen trickle into the minor leagues, and we even saw it this year on the national scale with the Major League Baseball All-Star Game in Atlanta using it. Do you like it? Not like it?
Whether I like it or not, I think it's coming regardless, and I don't necessarily see a downside to it. I don't personally think that you should change it over to a computer fully calling the game, because it kind of takes away from the human element and the tradition that we've enjoyed for all these years. But I'm not completely opposed to the challenge system. I think that's kind of the happy middle of all the technology coming in.
Yeah, for sure. It's one of those things that, just kind of like you said, whether we like it or not, it's coming, and better be ready for it out there too, and pace of play, I think, is a big part of that too, and I think that's one of the things they've tinkered with in there as well. But just like you said, it's coming whether or not we like it. That's for sure.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to ask you too. Have you had to throw out very many players or managers as your time as an umpire? Any good or fun stories that you'd like to share or are allowed to share?
I mean, they happen, and sometimes you make the right call, and it's not the favorite call. It's just part of umpiring. It's part of the job. Yeah, I've definitely had some fun stories throughout the years. I'll never forget when I was working in 2019 in the Midwest League when Kane County was still an affiliate of the Arizona Diamondbacks. I actually got hit by the ball in the middle of the infield. I lifted my leg up, and it just clipped my foot, and it didn't really deflect the ball too much in the infield. Ended up turning a double play, but come to find out, if a ball hits an umpire when they're in the middle of the infield like that, the ball's dead, and the batter runner goes at first, and then the other runners, if they're forced to advance, move up. So instead of having 2 outs, we have no outs. And the manager for Kane County, Vince Harrison, comes out to me and goes, "So how are you telling me I don't have any outs right now?" I'm like, "Well, I got hit. I got hit in the foot." He goes, "So you're still saying I don't have any outs here?" I'm like, "Yes, and now I need a tow truck." And he goes, "What? Did you just hit me with a dad joke?" I said, "I did." And he goes, "Well, okay." And he just walked away from me. At that time, my son was only 3 years old, too, so he understood that I was a young father. So as all of us dads do, we try to improve our dad jokes, but I think that's kind of the point.
That was a good time to use one.
Right.
Well,
but, notably, my last professional ejection was Pete Crow Armstrong right now, and that's a Cubs center fielder. Mm-hmm. That happened in Double-A. Again, another situation where sometimes you have to handle business, and if they say something or did something, and it's just they can't do that, and it's time to go.
Yeah, very, very much understood. Well, thank you for sharing that and that story there. A fun one out there for sure. Well, next up, tell us about moving from minor league baseball umpiring to that of the Big Ten Conference. Was that an easy adjustment, because now there are schools on both the Atlantic and the Pacific coasts, along with the traditional schools from the Midwest?
Yeah, definitely. And the Big Ten definitely expanded a lot in the last year. The transition really wasn't that difficult. In the Big Ten, we work in a 4-umpire crew, so working with more people on the field definitely helps and makes the job a little bit easier. And the travel's still the travel, except I'm not traveling from the beginning of March all the way to the end of September and being home only at the All-Star break. I'm just going on the weekends for like 10 weekends now, so it's a lot easier going with a young family, which is mostly the reason why I retired at the end of the 2023 season. My wife and I had our second child, who was born August 2nd. So the pull to be home more, that's what got me to get out of the minor leagues. And moving into the Big Ten was really easy to do, because if you have professional experience, they really welcome you with open arms at those Power 5 conferences at the college level.
Well, very, very interesting there. Very good insight there. And again, it sounds like it was a great move for you at the time. So we're happy to hear that you had that experience and that it was a good one out there for sure. Well, we've talked about it. A well-traveled man in your umpiring career. What have been your favorite locations to work at? And are there any fields that you would have liked the opportunity to umpire at that you haven't been able to?
I don't know if there's one that I haven't been able to that I want to, but in 2018 I worked the Pioneer League that was based in Idaho, Montana, Colorado, and Utah. And there's 4 teams in Montana, and man, there's some beautiful places up there.
Very, very interesting and very, very cool. Thank you for sharing that with us. And one fun question I wanted to ask you: do you have a favorite baseball movie? And if so, which one is it, and why is it your favorite?
Man, that's a tough question. There's so many good ones out there. I mean, Major League's always a classic, right?
Oh yeah,
you're wrong watching that one.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of those timeless baseball movies out there. Well, Bobby, what advice would you give to folks that are interested in going into umpiring as a career?
Yeah, I would definitely say, seek out an organization. There's two of them that are in our area that cover a lot of ground, Fox Valley Blues and the Players Umpire Association. These two organizations have a really good history of training new people, training new umpires. Just this past weekend, I was the lead instructor for a 2-umpire camp that we had in Wheeling, Illinois. So I would say seek it out. Make sure you get the support, because it is kind of tough to do when you first start out. With youth sports now, nationwide, there's a shortage of officials for every sport. So getting, especially younger people, interested and wanting to keep doing it, I would definitely seek out those associations or organizations that are especially going to, invest in you and your success and give you the training that you need.
Well, great advice out there for sure. And again, it sounds like perseverance there and just sticking to it and kind of keeping your nose down and moving forward. Sounds like one of those big keys there as well to thriving in the umpiring line of work.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I say this to everybody that's starting out. I'm like, hey, how many part-time jobs are out there that you're going to make $40 an hour and you sign up when you want to? There's not really that many out there that give you that flexibility and that good of pay for just being on a baseball field and umpiring a game.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, very, very true. And for folks wanting to get into that, I mean, that's like paradise. You take $40 an hour and you get to officiate a baseball game.
Yes, it's hard to beat.
Yeah, most definitely out there for sure. Well, Bobby, is there anything that we haven't talked about that you'd like to share with us before we wrap up this conversation?
Yeah, I mean, if anybody is now seeking to potentially look at the professional route, things have changed up a little bit since I went to umpire school. When I went to umpire school, like I had mentioned, you had to pay about $4,000 or $5,000 to attend the schooling. Well, now MLB has created a program where they have several one-day free camps across the country. The most recent one was up in Milwaukee, but if you attend these camps for the full day and no cost to go there, they take a look at you, and if they like you, they extend an offer fully expense paid to go down to Florida to their camp now to become a professional umpire and be evaluated for that. So it's definitely changed up. I kind of like the way they do it now because it's a little tough starting out your career, especially then. When I went, you weren't making as great as money as they do now in the minor leagues, but that would be the route to go now.
Yeah, it certainly sounds like it, and I guess this maybe has been as you've alluded to. I'm guessing you would say that this probably would make it a little bit more of a accessible or appealing career for maybe people that were interested, but kind of on the fringe of whether or not to commit to it. Would you see these changes now as kind of being able to maybe get some of those folks kind of more convinced or just kind of ready to really take it more seriously now as a profession?
No, yes, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely there, for sure. Well, Bobby Tassone, minor league and collegiate umpire, right now living in the Somonauk area, so a local man here who has lots of experience there in that umpiring line of work. Well, Bobby, we thank you for your time, for coming on our Saturday morning sports show. I really enjoyed having you on and talking with you about your career, and thank you for sharing your stories and your advice in the career, and we wish you the best moving forward, and we want to thank you for coming on our show here today.
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys.
Yep, you bet. There, Bobby Tassone there, and we'll take it back now to the Saturday morning sports show. And we want to thank Bobby Tassone once more for coming on our Saturday morning sports show. Always a pleasure to hear from a pro umpire there and get a little bit of insight into a very fascinating career that certainly is only going to be evolving from here with things like the ABS, like we talked about, and other things in that sort as well. Have some information we want to pass along to you here before we wrap up our show for this morning. As many of you know, Lauren Wisdom began her duties as WSPY Sports Director on Monday, and she will be back behind the microphone now for the Saturday morning sports show starting next weekend. Next Saturday, she will be making her Saturday morning sports show debut. We hope you all are just as excited for that as all of us here at WSPY are. I want to thank everybody at the WSPY for giving me the opportunity to fill in and pinch hit on the Saturday morning sports show over the last few weeks. I hope you all have enjoyed having me as a temporary host here, and I am very excited to pass the reins along to our new sports director, Lauren Wisdom, there for sure. Well, we're at 10 a.m. here. That's all the time we have here.